It's fantastic to be here and I hope you're all having a great show. First question though, who here loves horses? Who didn't put their hand up? Anyone? Out. Go on. I'm joking. You can stay. But we all love our horses and we want to do the best that we possibly can for them. And that's why I thought it'd be really interesting to look at this from a different perspective and actually say, well, anyone can get on a horse. Do you need to know about the names of the bones and the muscles to do that? But actually, I'm hoping to inspire you. Let me get on though. But a little bit more about me. I've evented, eventing was my thing, ridden up to advanced level. I'm a BHS senior coach. Absolutely love anatomy, equine therapist as well. And it was on my travels that I realised many horse owners, riders could benefit from a better understanding of anatomy. But you say anatomy and oh my goodness. It can seem like a bit of a difficult or dry subject, can't it? But not with horses inside out, because I actually paint the muscles and anatomical structures on the sides of real life horses for educational purposes, and that's what the painting is all about. When they're painted up, we'll do lecture demonstrations, and I travel all over the place doing different lecture demos, different countries as well. Who's been to a Horses Inside Out lecture demonstration? Hartbury last year, Malton, doing Leicestershire. Yeah, we go all over the place doing it. So I hope to see you at an event soon. We've got the online academy, the Horses Inside Out online academy. Who's a member? Anyone? You all should be, by the way, because it's free to join. Anyway, it's all about the online training and there's loads of books there as well. But my big question to you is, why should we learn about anatomy? As horse owners and riders, why should we want to learn about anatomy? And for me, it's, yes, learning the names of the muscles, the location and the names of the bones is important. Particularly if we want to refer to other people, if we want to talk to vets and therapists and understand the structures for communication purposes. But I think it's so much more than that. I think we need to learn, about how to apply this information, and that to me is the most important part. So first of all, I think that learning about anatomy can help you to improve your horse's musculoskeletal health. So the health of his body, basically. So we take a gorgeous horse. This horse is called Artie, very aptly named. Take a lovely horse. What happens when you add the weight of the rider? Did you like that? Can I just do that again? Let me see if I get my timer right. What happens when you add the weight of a rider? Well, first of all, just purely adding weight onto the horse's back, we see there will be a change in their posture. Generally, we'll see that the back goes into a slightly more extended position than without additional weight on the back. Obviously, more weight, more of an effect, and the weaker the horse, more of an effect. Also, it can affect a horse's balance. Any of you that have ridden young horses will know how easy it is to affect their turning and their bending and their balance. And indeed, we use this as horses get more advanced in their training and as we become more precise in our aids to give very subtle seat aids and weight aids to help communicate with our horse. Also, adding the weight of, or any additional weight, could be a sack of potatoes, it's going to put an increase of stress on the joints. It's potentially going to increase strain on ligaments, affect their balance, maybe use of muscles, could affect their movement and expression, and depending on the age, of course, even their growth. Oh my goodness, it's getting a bit depressing, isn't it? But I don't want to depress you. And what I want to do is inspire you and help you to realize that there's so much that we can do to help our horses. And if we can make sure that they're as fit and as strong as possible before we start riding them, this is really going to help them to stay healthy for so much longer. And this is why understanding anatomy, I think, is so important. And a lot of you that were here for the previous talk about rider fitness, a lot of that information applies to the horse as well. So one of the things, one of the principles I want to talk about is, if you don't use it, you lose it. Who's heard that before? Yeah. Another one is to rest is to rust. Well, same with our own bodies. Maintaining movement, taking our joints through a full range of movement on a regular basis is massively important. But in order for us to do that with our horse, surely we first of all need to know what is the normal range of movement. This is going to require an understanding of anatomy and biomechanics, where normal movement occurs. What's abnormal, then we can start looking at that. This is a video studying different movements of the horse's back. So watching this video, can you tell me where you think most back movement occurs? And we're going to see different horses performing different moves. But just ask yourself, where is the back movement happening? Is there any back movement? When we say the back, we're talking about the thoracic and the lumbar sections of the horse. Got some crazy stuff going on in this video. It's a nice little demonstration of so much variety of different things we do with horses. Doesn't always go perfectly well. So whatever you do with your horse, having an understanding of their movement is going to help you to help keep them healthy. So here, let me ask you, where do you think most back movement occurs? At the lumbosacral junction. Very good. I would say that point, so where the loins are, between the pelvis, the sacrum and the lumbar region, that is as a hinge joint there. But I would technically class that at the back of the back. So within the back, so if we say between the thoracic and the lumbar region, a lot of people would think that there's a lot of movement in the lower back, probably because we've got a fair amount of movement there, but it's not the case. Anyone else want to hazard a guess where they think, or from looking at this, where do you think most movement tends to happen in the back? Shall I tell you the answer? Right in the middle underneath where you're sitting. Usually around T14, 15, that's the spot where we see most movement. But having said that, I hope you could appreciate there wasn't a huge amount of back movement anyway, and this is indeed why we can ride our horses. But moving on to, let's think about keeping our horses healthy. Could go a lot more into the back, by the way, but I've only got a little bit of time. So to keep a horse's body healthy, or any animal's body healthy, it's important to balance flexibility, suppleness, mobility, range of movement, that idea if you don't use it, you lose it. Balance that with stability, strength and balance. So that's really two sides to the exercise program we need to be looking at for our horses. And if we want to improve flexibility and suppleness, we need to be looking at stretching exercises. And if we want to improve stability, strength and balance, we need to be looking at strengthening exercises. And there's so many things that we can do to help our horse's musculoskeletal system. And this is just a little montage of different pole work exercises. There's so many different things that we can do with our horses. But as well as understanding the anatomy and biomechanics of the horse, it's useful to understand the different biomechanical challenges and demands of the different exercises to work out if these ones are going to be right for you and for your horse. I think that's really, really important. So having this good understanding of anatomy is really going to help your horse's body, musculoskeletal system, the strength and stretching. And there's so many, I'm showing you some of my favourite exercises here, and it can be any type of horse can perform these exercises and really get a great benefit. And if you want to learn more about pole work exercises for your horse, this is the sort of thing that we can help you with at Horses Inside Out. Understanding you and assessing your horse's posture, understanding the back and the posture is really, really important. And then from this, we're able to do not just ridden and pole work exercises, but how about exercises off the horse? Pilates for horses. Who does different Pilates exercises or in-hand carrot exercises with their horses? Quite a few of you. This is great because I want to inspire you to want to learn more about Pilates, because I believe, well, we all need to discover the power of Pilates. So we've got a whole different range of exercises that you can do with your horse. The challenge is working out which is the best one, or the best ones, because we're all busy horse owners, and I think as soon as you own a horse, you seem to have even less time than everybody else. So actually, if we can work out which exercises are going to have the biggest difference to our horse's health, then, well, we're going to be using our time wisely. And also, I'm a big believer in multitasking. So is there a way that we can be doing pole work exercises on the way to the field? I have a series of telegraph poles that I walk my horses over on the way to and from the field every day. Takes no extra time. Are there exercises that we can do when we're grooming? Absolutely. Things, if we can fit them into our routine, it does make life a lot easier. Also, I would say that learning about biomechanics can really help to improve your riding and training skills. I think that in order to have good posture, balance, understand where we should be sitting, how we should be using our weight aids, our seat position, and also timing of our aids, we need to have a good understanding of the biomechanics of the movements that we're wanting to ride. So this is where I think it really is on us as horse owners and riders to learn as much as we possibly can about the biomechanics of our horses. So studying the movement. And this selection of videos I'm showing you here, that's Laura Tomlinson. We've got a great number of different riders that have ridden Horses Inside Out horses for us. This collection of videos was a study that I did into the biomechanics of horses, and we tried to capture every single movement that the horse performs. Can you appreciate how big that is? How many movements the horse, we try to get every single gait, different perspectives. So this idea of truly studying the biomechanics of the horse it's just so important. And of course, all of the, when we're looking at the horse, it's good to also consider the rider, consider the rider's position. How you're sitting on the horse really will affect the horse's balance, performance and way of going. And the thing about many injuries generally, whether we talk about human or horse, repetitive strain injury is one of the most common causes of injury. So if we can think about our posture as well as our horse's posture, that's really going to help us to hopefully reduce the risk of injury. So just one more point as to why we should learn about anatomy, because it's not all about the musculoskeletal system, but also other aspects of horse health management. We need to learn about the respiratory system. And did you know that about 14% of horses have respiratory problems, whether we're talking about equine, asthma, allergies? So understanding the anatomy of the respiratory system is going to help us to manage this. The cardiovascular system, the major arteries, the veins, understanding the anatomy of these is going to help us when it comes to fitness training, along with the lymphatic system. I've always thought it's not just the names of the structures, but actually how can we apply this to management, to health? Who has horses that potentially have legs that fill when they stand in? Yeah, you need to learn about the lymphatic system, because understanding how this works is going to help you to manage your horse better. The digestive system, maybe a slightly more obvious one. We all need to feed our horses, or we need to assess the forage that they're eating and maybe balance the feed that they're getting to help them get as balanced as nutrition as possible. But understanding the digestive system is really, really going to help you with that. We've got the endocrine system, that's going to help also with the feeding and any horses that have got any metabolic issues. The nervous system, balance, training, thinking about behaviour. Oh my goodness. Understanding every single aspect of anatomy can help you with management of your horse. And well, I think this has got to be my favourite picture. Do you know why? This horse here, Freddie in foal. So yes, I have painted every single anatomical system on the side, well, maybe sometimes in front, behind and above as well. So in these books, we really go into detail about applying this information to riding, training and management. But now I would just want to say a huge thank you for listening to this little talk. I hope that it's inspired you and that you want to learn more. And you can come and have a chat to me afterwards at the Horses Inside Out stand. But I am also very happy to answer any questions that you have. So please, any questions?
So I've just got a new horse.
Yeah.
Who turns 4 in September. The breeders have just backed it.
Right.
But can I do stuff like the pole work and stuff with him?
Absolutely,
He's
yes.
not too young. I just don't want to break him because he's so young.
Do you know what? I think that's absolutely fantastic you asking that question. Now, when I say, oh yes, you can do pole work, I'm not necessarily saying you need to go out and do gymnastic jumping exercises 5 days a week. However, things like the walk poles on the way to and from the field, that slalom exercise, oh, I love that for lateral stability. Everything needs to be taken, in consideration of what the age of your horse, and not just the age, but the level of fitness, the core strength, the lateral strength, and indeed your older horses as well. We need to be thinking, oh yes, can I do that exercise? Or can my horse do that exercise? It's got to be appropriate, but I would say yes, is my simple answer. I have on the Horses Inside Out Academy got a video, it's called Skeletal Maturity and Exercises for Young Horses, and we give different exercises, grading them through for bringing a horse into work, and this could apply to older horses as well coming back into work. But it's interesting when we think about starting horses or backing them, how prepared are their musculoskeletal systems to carry the weight of the rider? I think sometimes you see a young horse coming into work and it does a week or 2 weeks of lunging and long reining and then the rider's on and off they go. But actually, shouldn't we be doing this for a bit longer? Can't we start doing preparatory exercises earlier, but little bit, and build up gradually? So you almost start younger but less and make it more gradual. So by the time they're being ridden, it's more normal. Their bodies are stronger and ready for it. I think that's important. Any other questions? We've got one here.
Hi, it's kind of 2 questions.
Love it.
So how did you kind of get into wanting to paint horses and go so far into it?
Crazy. I think, first of all, I am crazy. So I was working as a coach and a therapist, and I realised that many of my clients could benefit from a better understanding of how horses work. And actually, I'll tell you a story. I had one client, and he was a very good rider. He had qualified for badminton, and he said, could you come and look at this young horse? I won't tell you who he was. And he said, I'm worried about it because he's got these lumps in the neck. And I said, those are the neck vertebrae. Really? I thought they went along the top of the neck. Now, okay, a lot of people do have that. It's a really common misconception. But I felt that someone at the top of the sport really needs to have a better understanding of anatomy. So this also inspired me. I started just doing small workshops. And my mum actually was a primary school teacher. She had some kiddie safe paint. So I thought, I'll do these workshops for my clients, just indicate with a little bit of paint. I could show you the picture of my first ever painting. It was nothing like these ones, I can tell you that right now. But then every demo I did, it led to another one. And I just absolutely love it. And I love anatomy. I've studied a lot of anatomy, we've done loads of dissections, and building up that knowledge and just sharing it in a way that's easy to understand, I hope anyway, that's visually that you can relate to is, I love it.
And the other question, well, you kind of answered it. How did you were you able to identify all different muscles? Did you have to dissect a load of horses to get into each system?
Yes, I think that's a good question. There's a lot of book learning, I will say that, and I think if you ever get the opportunity to do a dissection, That's fantastic if you're at that level. Might not be your thing, and that's where I wanted to pull it back with the painting and make it more accessible. Because I think that when you are learning from books, some of the pictures can be quite, what? It's difficult to understand, but I hope by painting it on it does make it easier to understand. So yes, I've done a lot of book learning, and then the dissections have helped me massively. And the other thing I will say, if you want to learn anatomy, as well as seeing the painted horses, we do anatomy exhibitions. We've got an anatomy exhibition in August, it'll be worth coming to, in Leicestershire. It's really, really interactive, got lots of different models, as well as skeletons. So it's a great opportunity to really understand what's going on underneath your horse in a 3D way, rather than just looking at pictures in a book. So yeah, if any of you are interested in that, just check out the Horse Inside Out website, or come and have a chat to us afterwards.
Have you found any really unusual conformation or abnormalities that you just didn't expect to see?
Didn't expect to see. I've seen a lot of abnormal conformation, I will say that. I tend to get people send me messages with, have you seen this before? So I do get a fair amount of the unusual. One of the most unusual is a horse with a wry nose. Have you heard of that before?
A wry nose?
A wry nose, which was basically a twisted head to an extreme. So this is an interesting one, and actually I was chatting to the Society of Master Saddlers lot last night about this. Asymmetry within the head. You look at the facial crests of your horse, stand in front and look to see how symmetrical they are. That was, but this one was particularly extreme. But it's interesting when you start looking at your horse's conformation generally, how many anomalies there are. Not just within asymmetry of the actual bone shape, but even numbers of bones or orientation of within the vertebrae. About a third of horses have a variation of what is considered normal at both the lumbosacral junction and at the thoracolumbar junction, which is right at the back of your saddle. Doesn't necessarily mean anything. It's like if we all held our hands up and looked at the length of our first finger compared to our middle fingers, then proportionally would all be slightly different. So we do get variations with horses, which can be perfectly normal, but then there are some conformations that we want to avoid. If we have horses that have got really asymmetrical feet, that's likely going to cause biomechanical compensations, which isn't necessarily going to be helpful. If we look at very, very straight hocks or very straight hind legs from a conformational perspective, that's going to, I've got off on a tangent, haven't I? So this is what happens when you ask me a question. I start talking too much about that subject. I could talk more about conformation for ages, so I better stop there, because I know the next lot are going to want to be on.
Let's give Gillian a huge round of applause. That's an awesome class.
Thank you all so much.